Well, a special edition. I didn't find two albums I loved this week, but I did find one I loved. And let's talk about one of the great eccentric geniuses in the history of American popular music, Swamp Dogg, aka, is it Jerry Williams? All right. Jerry Williams Jr. Now, I have a piece today in Splice Today talking about myself and my music-obsessed brothers in the 1970s, the four of us, okay? And one thing we did was we competed to find the most obscure stuff, to find something interesting that the other three had never heard of. Right? I mean, I swear to God, my brother Adam, who was a club DJ too, all right, after a little while, was meeting ships in Baltimore and getting people to pass him imports before they got to the stores and stuff like that, okay? Now, I didn't have a lot of the connections and maybe not the extreme concentration that my brother Adam had, and Bob too. But I did have a couple scores over the course of the 70s. And the biggest one, the first one, was Swamp Dogg. I think 71. And the song was Total Destruction to Your Mind. I believe I came up with the single for that somewhere. Okay, I don't know if I sometimes I remember these very vividly, like how I found this, or how that came to be on my turntable. But I don't quite remember how I found Total Destruction to Your Mind in the early 70s. My brothers had never heard of Swamp Dogg. So then he was my special purview, and I greeted a couple new albums in the 70s, and I kind of forgot about them, like a dork. All right. All right. So I guess the other great score I had in this regard was Augustus Pablo, the wonderful reggae instrumentalist. And I had a connection with the guy who ran the import section at Discount Books and Records on Wisconsin Avenue, and he used to pass me some reggae early. And I East of the River Nile by Augustus Pablo, and that was later, maybe 5 years later. And again, my brothers were like, damn, all right, interesting. Good job, Little Crispy. All right, but Swamp Dogg was my big score. All right, now, I'm trying to find Total Destruction to Your Mind, but I don't seem to find it immediately. That seems odd. I'm sorry. One thing, okay. Well, all right, let's play a few bars of Total Destruction to Your Mind. I'd say that probably not a month has gone by since 71 where this hasn't run through my head, or where I haven't said these words. Like sometimes I said this in, Philosophy 100 class. Hi, I'm your teacher, Crispin Sartwell, and I'm here to do total destruction to your mind, mind. Total destruction to your mind. Okay, that was quick, but that's hot, man. All right, this is some great Memphis-style soul. Swamp Dogg, Jerry Williams from Portsmouth, Virginia, originally, is what I want to think of as an outsider artist. Of course, there are outsider musicians, and weird eccentrics that are not quite outside. Maybe he's that. You know what I mean? Like sort of Howard Finster in visual arts, or I don't know, or eccentric artists like maybe Biz Markie in hip hop. True eccentric geniuses. All right, I don't know about Biz Markie as a genius, but I know about Swamp Dogg as a genius. He's written. Somehow he lets himself write anything. All right, he definitely has written country that this whole time. All right, if you think Beyonce invented black country or whatever, or recruited 3 other people who did, Swamp Dogg effortlessly was working across the soul country interface from the start. And I think I've written on this too, and I'll link this too. Soul and country are very closely connected. He sounds as a vocalist, he reminds me of O.V. Wright. And the style is a little similar to maybe Leroy Carr and Wright and many others. A kind of country, Solomon Burke earlier, a kind of country, soul. Soul and country, they both feature charismatic vocalists, highly emotive lyric themes, basically a rock band with maybe fiddles for the country and horns for the soul, right? But he's working at this interface from the get-go, okay? He's from Virginia. It's kind of small town Virginia, or medium-sized city Virginia. You're going to hear a lot of country when you do that. And he's lasted for 50-some years. He's in his 80s now. And it's an incredible oeuvre. There's 3 dozen albums. And they're incredibly varied. They're incredibly creative. Some are better than others. Some moments are better than others. Everything is worth listening to. What a friggin' genius, man. He wrote, okay, so speaking of country, he wrote a #1 hit for Johnny Paycheck. All right. Don't Take Her, She's All I Got. You might still hear that in a bar. All right. I'm just going to read you, to give you a sense of the eccentricity, the outsiderness, a list of his albums. I'm just going to read them right off Wikipedia. Right? And I will say this was also true with my brothers. They loved the album covers. These were the craziest album covers anyone has ever seen. So I'm sending you to look up some of these album covers, okay? He's a surrealist. He's like a homegrown Virginia surrealist. And he's as sophisticated as Salvador Dali or something like this, but he's a lot catchier. All right, here's some of the, or all of the Swamp Dogg albums. Total Destruction to Your Mind, 1970. Rat On, look that one up. That's a classic cover. Cuffed, Collared, and Tagged. When he starts talking about criminal justice system and race. You Should Have Been Listening, man, in 72. Gag a Maggot. That's the name of an album. Gag a Maggot. Maggot is misspelled. Have you heard this story? You Ain't Never Too Old to Boogie. You got to that one early. An opportunity, not a bargain. That's a typical Swamp Dogg phrase. An opportunity, not a bargain. Now, what does that mean? I don't know, man, but it's going to work in a song, I bet. Finally Caught Up With Myself. I'm not selling out, I'm buying in. And I think that was the last actual Swamp Dogg album I bought. 81 or something, another classic cover. I'm not selling out, I'm buying in. I called for rope and they threw me a rock. Surfing in Harlem. Swamp Dogg's Droppings. Give them as little as you can, as often as you have to. Give them as little as you can, as often as you have to. An Awful Christmas and a Lousy New Year. The White Man Made Me Do It. That was a 2014 album. You should listen to that, man. These are great. Like I neglected these, right? Like I kind of got off Swamp Dogg. I forgot about Swamp Dogg, sort of, except the Total Destruction to Your Mind kept running through my head. Uh, but returning now and sampling, I tried to listen to a bunch of it the last couple of days, but man, it's infinite. Okay, The White Man made me do it. Don't Give Up on Me, the Lost Country album. Love, Loss, and Auto Tune. I need a job so I can buy more auto tune. These auto tune albums are hilarious, man. I don't know whether he's like enjoying auto tune, sort of primitive auto tune, or he's ridiculing it throughout 2 albums, and he's doing that too. He's kind of making fun of. He's an incredible satirist of our culture throughout this 50 more some years. I mean, let me, I just want to give you one other example from the Oeuvre. Okay. I mean, so here's a cultural commentary. It's postmodern. It's brilliant. It's political. He's political on and off. It's feminist. How about this classic song that I never heard before I started re-rummaging through Swamp Dogg? This one is called Shaft's Mama. Typical great riffing, actually. Hundreds of them.
Ooh, that lady in that marble mink coat, sunshade, long afro, Shaft's mama. That's who she is. She's a perfect 10, never has to diet. Her mother is don't knock anything until you try it. Shaft's mama. You damn right.
Okay, I probably shouldn't stop that so abruptly. I try to fade. What's he doing there? Okay, does he think he's going to sell 1 million copies of Shaft's Mama? Because Shaft sold 1 million copies 5 years before that? Or 10 years or 20 years before that? Is he trying to cash in? What is he doing there? I don't know, but it's wildly cool. And it's literary almost, right? Like I'm appropriating, I'm reinterpreting, I'm parodying. All right, I'm going to do this hundreds of times. Swamp Dogg got rediscovered, and I mean, this is not surprising, but at least it's good, though. Like, people realize, like, at some point, like, oh my God, what is up with this Swamp Dogg person? Right? So in 2020, he put out a country album, or, sort of quote unquote country. What was it called? Why am I having so much trouble with my iTunes right now? Well, he put out an album in 2020, a country album. Or he called it a country album, as he has with a number of things over the decades. And people started to notice. It got reviewed everywhere. There was some top guest stars. Was it Auerbach? It was some top producer on that album. All this I should look up. All right. And it was pretty good. I downloaded it. That was the first. I returned to Swamp Dogg right then, 2020 or so. But this one, BLACKGRASS, from West Virginia to 125th Street, from West Virginia to Harlem, is really good. And now he's getting some of the attention he deserves. He's less underrated than most CRISPR Roots artists now. Amazing, right? But this is right. And friggin' Jerry Douglas and Sierra Hull, the great mandolinist, are on this album. I feel like Sierra Hull is strumming along beautifully throughout the whole album and just taking delight. Right? Is it Sierra Hull? I'm not sure on every cut. I think so, though. That particularly light chop chord that she does, man. Anyway, I'm a huge Sierra Hull fan. And, I mean, she's pretty different than Swamp Dogg. I mean, Swamp Dogg does everything from working blue, like real sexy, double entendre or single entendre sex songs. He does like completely surreal things. You have no idea what they are. Completely political anthems. You know, all kinds of stuff about race and gender and all this. No one has this kind of range lyrically. I don't know. And I guess what's relevant is like it sounds very good lots of the time. But anyway, how about Mess Under That Dress? This is a pretty typical Swamp Dogg lyric in one mode. A mess up under that dress. Sierra Hull and Jerry Douglas on this one. Who's the banjo player? Let's go check. Okay, now first of all, that is actually bluegrass. The lyric is not something you would ever hear in a bluegrass song, probably. But a mess up under that dress. But it is actually bluegrass. All right, we're not fucking around here. We're not playing Let's Pretend. It's more bluegrass than the last, like the Alan Jackson bluegrass album. He knows what he's doing. And he's got the right people to do it with. I don't know. Actually, all the songs are interesting here. How about this one? Rise Up. He will do instrumentals and stuff like this. You never know what to expect. Featuring Vernon Reid. That's the guitar player from Living Colour, I think. Is that right? Revolutionary bluegrass, baby. "100% Train." Okay, so I don't know what I was expecting from a new Swamp Dogg album, but probably not that. but you can't expect the new Swamp Dogg album. And he's just as fresh and creative at 80 friggin' 5 or whatever it is as he was at 25. This is really an interesting figure. All right, well, I'm going to wind it down somehow. The last song on here is called Murder Ballad. Now, of course, in bluegrass, old-timey country music, murder ballads are traditional. This one is a lot more conscious. This one is a lot more real. This one is about criminal justice. This is an amazing song. And I don't think I can do justice to the 10 minutes of it by playing a snatch. So I'm suggesting, well, I will though. I'll give you a little bit of Murder Ballad by Swamp Dogg, D-O-G-G, from BLACKGRASS.
Murdered a man. It was easier than I thought. I don't really care about death row or hell or even getting caught. The first one put up a fight. The second tried to plead. The third one tried to bribe me. And for some reason, the fourth one was fast asleep.
Right. How about that shit? We're not playing with murder now. We're going to really try to say what this was like. He's inhabiting that murderous intelligence with a scary intimacy. And it does blossom into an excellent song, too. Some kind of classic, maybe. So I think we're going to be spending the next 20, 30 years reassessing Swamp Dogg and putting him in the canon. So that's a special edition of Crisper Roots, the Swamp Dogg edition.